This is VSiN By The Books on VSiN, the sports betting network.
We begin hour number 3. VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross here, Circus Sports, fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. He is our closer. Jensen, calling the closer, the righty. Jensen goes, Jensen, I did want to ask you this. And we talked and began the show today. Nico Harrison was put on the hot spot there down in Dallas, asked about, hey, you know, kind of you clean out the lockers when your season's over. Dallas doesn't get out of the play-in. And he was asked about, you know, obviously Luka Doncic, the elephant in the room. And I'm listening to some of those questions that they're asking. And one of them that was asked was, basically, do you deserve to keep your job? And I thought, what kind of question is that? Like, could you imagine if I said to you, Jensen, and I've been in those locker rooms for decades, Jensen, you've blown 2 saves. Do you deserve to still be the closer? Like, dude, that's my job. Like, as an athlete, do you ever go, did you think about that question before you asked me? How did you expect me to answer it?
I told you, I was either last week or the week before, there are members of the media that deserve to lose their credential yes. On a day-to-day basis for asking those kinds of questions, because there is no real consequence for that, right, on the report. You write a bad article, you shouldn't be allowed to post, for 3 days or so. Again, if there was accountability, then yes, that would be rethought. So I do think it's fair in a Lewis Ross administration. We are all about transparency.
Absolutely.
I think we also would be about having our people prepared to answer any question that could come their way. And that's what is perplexing about the Nico Harrison thing is you had too much. This wasn't like you traded Luka last night. We're all still emotional. We're all reeling still from, what this is still so very fresh. And you could have gotten away with that.
Yes.
But you can't do that with 8 weeks in between how you finish the regular season, how you bowed out of the play-in tournament. All that notwithstanding, there needed to be changes anyway in that front office. We shall see where things transpire this summer. But yeah, man, there are members of the media there that are just trying to get gotcha questions. It really is embarrassing for some of these people because, again, you and I, again, we feel like we've been there a lot. We've seen it. I've been on the playing side. I want to be respectful and remember how hard it is to play the game, let alone these life-changing decisions to, change the course of a franchise. Again, this is why sports is amazing, but it's also, hey, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with those kind of positions, especially the one that Nico Harrison has.
I wonder for the Nuggets, right? If this flames out, and by the way, we're going to have JVT on in the next segment to talk all things NBA. They lose last night, 105-102 to the Clippers. That series all tied up at 1. And I'm not saying this is, again, it's not your fault as an interim head coach when you fire Michael Malone and you get rid of Calvin Booth as the GM. We're talking about this in conjunction with the Nico Harrison story. And then, you got a game that's very winnable last night and you don't win it. What do you make of that situation if it flames out for the Nuggets? And I know a lot of people on the network do like the Clippers to eventually get out of this first-round series.
Yeah, and it was a reason why I took just a future, had a bonus bet on DraftKings, so I took 35-1 for the Clippers to win it all. And really it was predicated on the ability to hedge out of it as we got into the second round and perhaps into the conference final. So if we kind of assess where things are, and the only caveat here, Dave, was everybody and their mother was talking about, it's the Clippers. The Clippers are the biggest threat to the Thunder. I'm like, did you not see who the best player in the NBA is playing for? By the way, they're going to play the first 2 games in Denver. It's not like the Nuggets are going on the road. So this is the beauty of playing the games, right? You got to play them out. And if not for a handful of mistakes there at the end of the fourth quarter, Denver might have a 2-0 series lead.
Totally agree. Don't know why my volume just came up.
But at any rate, that I think to me is the one thing you hang your hat on, as we talked about at the beginning of the show. If you're a Clipper fan, you feel fortunate to get out of there with a series split, and now you can take a deep breath and think, all right, we're coming back home. If you're a Denver fan, do you look back on game 2 and think, gosh, if we just execute in the half court, we're fine, and now we can really impose our will and try and leverage on the road.
Can't miss dunks in a one-possession game in the final 3 minutes. You're missing dunks. I mean, whoa. That happened. And again, the other game there in the other series, Detroit has now knotted that up 1 game apiece here with the Knicks. So we'll get more thoughts from JVT in the next segment. But Let's get to it because the NFL draft is just 2 days away. It's time for news or noise.
Is it news?
Corleone is a man who insists on hearing bad news immediately.
Or just noise?
Are you going to act like this is news? Just noise. This is noise.
Let's separate the impactful from the insignificant with one simple question. News or noise?
Jensen, I love this question. It's something you and I have talked about for a long time now, ever since we knew that Travis Hunter was going to be a very high pick in the NFL draft. It looks like when you look at the odds market that it's predetermined he's going to your city of Cleveland. But I want you to listen to Jeff Schwartz. And again, wherever you get your podcast, check out the GM Shuffle here. I had a great conversation with Jeff on this very topic as to what the right role will be for Travis.
It's just not possible. It's just not. The corner and a package of wide receiver plays is certainly doable, but wide receiver first and corner second is not manageable. You can't do that because of the complexity of NFL defenses. You can have a package of wide receiver plays and play corner. You can't do the opposite direction. You can't split your time in practice.
Does that become a sticking point? That can't be something you just beat around the bush. Like, that has to be addressed, right, before you draft him second overall?
I guess. Are you not going to play football? I mean, that's the alternative. I mean, yeah, that's obviously one harsh way to look at it, is say, I guess you're not going to play football in the NFL. I mean, like at some point, you have to be a grown-up and just accept this is what it is.
Okay, so that's the elephant in the room, right? And I love Jeff's candid nature about this. Because Travis Hunter put it out there, right? That if I can't play both ways, I won't play football. I think Jeff and I, what we're getting at there is you're kind of leveraging the situation. And we talked about it here, Jensen, that maybe you're not the bad guy, right? If you're Andrew Berry, and John Harbaugh talked about it in Baltimore. You let him believe what he wants to believe, but he's believing something that's not a reality in the NFL. Is that news or noise?
I think it is news from a standpoint of the Browns have probably, or at least I hope they have, already done the conversations with Travis Hunter of we hear what you're saying, and here would be our ideas of how we implement you on the offensive and defensive side. That's why I told you at the beginning of the show, been hearing a lot up here in Northeast Ohio of majoring in offense, minoring in defense. So I think that conversation's probably already been had of, we're going to meet you in the middle here. Because when you get it, and I think John Harbaugh nailed it, don't tell him he can't do it right away. Let that happen to him. And then you kind of hold your hands up as a coach and be like, welcome to the NFL, kid. This is what it's all about. So the only baseball analogy I could make to it, Shohei Ohtani is such an outlier. There will never be another person like him. The closest we've really had in the last couple of years is a guy by the name of Jack Caglione, who was at Florida. Last year, a first-round pick for the Kansas City Royals, absolute thumper in the lineup, threw 1,000,000 miles an hour off the mound. But Kansas City kind of told him, hey, we feel you're best suited to get to the big leagues and have a long big league career as a hitter. So he's already kind of made that decision, and he's rocketing through the minor leagues in what he's been able to do. So I think Travis Hunter, and I agree with Jeff, you got to be a grown-up at one point. And perhaps the Browns have already said, hey, man, we want to take you. Here are our criteria, and here's what we think you can do. If you're agreeable to that, then we're going to make you the second pick.
Tim Tebow wanted to play quarterback in the NFL, did play quarterback in the NFL, won a playoff game. But when they wanted to play tight end, he's out of the league. I'm not saying that's going to be the way of Travis Hunter if he doesn't get his way as to what he wants to play. But also in the odds market, this is what's fascinating to me. We talk about wide receivers. Well, we're of the belief, is he being drafted as a wide receiver or as a corner? 2.5. It's juiced to the over heavily. Minus 285. That's gone up, by the way, from 250. And I felt like if you're going to lay juice on that, that would be the one prop I would be willing to lay the juice. But what is Travis Hunter? Because corners, the over is 4.5, juiced heavily to the under at 360. If I just said to you before all this conversation happened, how do you view Travis Hunter? Corner or wide receiver?
I view him as wide receiver. I just think that's where he impacts that team from a Brown standpoint. I think he impacts them way better for what he's able to do. And to me, honestly, I would rather have that kind of impact talent there, knowing that I could roll him back. I agree with Jeff. I would rather have him knowing my offense first, and then being able to take that knowledge into a defensive side where, okay, I've seen what NFL defenses are trying to do against me now, and that will give me a better idea of what I can implement on the defensive side.
If he is a wide receiver, and we talk about this wherever you might be wagering on the NFL draft, check those numbers and the house rules and the way they are labeling these players. Because if he's being drafted as a wide receiver, I don't say this often on this network, it is a layup that you get 3 wide receivers drafted in the first round, because you know McMillan's going, and I think we know that Golden's going to be going at some point out of Texas, right? So what would I be missing at minus 285 that we at least get 3 receivers? But make sure the clarification is Travis Hunter is being drafted as a wide receiver. The draft, we can't wait for it. It's going to be exciting. We all know that. You can get access to everything we do leading up to Thursday's draft. Again, we have a live special as well. But when you do so, $59, become a VSiN Pro subscriber, you get everything that we do each and every day, all the way through August 1st. Daily best bets, exclusive betting splits, expert analysis, betting systems, VSiN.com/subscribe right there. Not just the draft. How about the Kentucky Derby? That's coming up in 2 Saturdays from this week. So everything, each and every day for the NBA playoffs, the NHL, it is covered. Oh, yeah, Major League Baseball, too. We got you covered there as well. So become a VSiN Pro subscriber. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. What did JVT make of the NBA playoffs so far? That is next here on VSiN By The Books.
You're tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We are back. VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross and Jensen Lewis here on this Tuesday edition. NFL Draft just 48 hours away. Jensen, how is your draft preps going to be for you? I know you've got your tickets already in play, so I don't know how much more you'd be adding in the last 48 hours. Do you have a plan of attack for your draft night?
Yeah, I will probably just take a look and see any updated menu, any promo boosts. Check across your books, especially in a lot of these jurisdictions outside of Nevada. DraftKings, FanDuel, Caesars, a lot of these different places will have some of those draft day boosts. So something I'll be looking for. Just take a little gander on something. But boy, I'm with you, man. I hope we get chaos.
Oh man.
And just to throw this out to you, because I remember it, the 2018 NFL draft, Baker Mayfield was 28-1 on draft morning to be the number 1 selection. Sam Darnold was minus $3.50. Just saying.
Nobody saw that coming from John Dorsey that day.
No.
And there it was, 28-1. Chaos can ensue. If you want a nice, smooth draft day experience, maybe you're out here in Vegas and you want to get some other transactions approved, check out Edge Boost if you haven't done so yet. It's a first-ever bank account that's built for bettors to ensure all of your transactions will be approved. No usage fees, no minimums. You're going to get cash back rewards, 100% approval for all your betting deposits. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet. Use the promo code BOOK. Name of the show. Deposit $25 and Edge Boost will match the deposit. That is edgeboost.bet. All right, let's talk some NBA here, Jensen. And with that, we always love to bring in our guy, JVT, Jonathan Von Tobel. You can give him a follow on X. Very entertaining follow at JVT. Does a great job of the network. Joins us here on the Progressive Guest Line. Jonathan, I was watching the game last night, and normally I try to shut it down, get some shut-eye before the show. But I say if they care, I care. And they cared last night. You could see it what it meant to Kawhi with that 39 and that Clippers win at Denver. What'd you make of it? And will it take performances like that from Kawhi night in, night out to vanquish the Nuggets?
I don't know if it takes that night in and night out, right? I mean, if it takes that, then they're screwed because I don't think you can do that every single night if you're Kawhi Leonard, dropping 36 points on 14 of 18 shooting. But I would say that, look, I think what has stuck out through the first two games of this series is that the Clippers have actually done a pretty good job on defense through two games in Denver, despite the fact that they split those two games. In one of them, they probably could have won in overtime. But in these games, you're talking about limiting the Nuggets to 110.5 points per 100 possessions. It's pretty good, especially when you talk about it from a non-garbage time standpoint. That's going to be something that I think really works in their favor. So I think that the way they have defended, despite the fact that they haven't been able to keep them off the offensive glass, despite the fact that they haven't been able to limit them in any way, shape, or form in terms of the rebounding, but they're limiting those second chance opportunities. I think that's what it needs to continue, is that defensive effort. They need to find some bench minutes offensively, but I think that they can do this, and this is what you did, right? You go out there, as long as you can split one of the first two road games, you're in a pretty good shot going back home.
Yeah, JVT, as we get into the slate tonight, a handful of game twos here where let's start with the Bucks and the Pacers, and then the Grizzlies and the Thunder. I know you got a contest play on Oklahoma City, but to me, I was looking at this Pacers and Bucks game, and of course the intrigue around Damian Lillard being able to come back. I lean the Bucks on the money line and the over in that game. How do you handicap that matchup?
I mean, to me, it's Pacers or nothing, to be honest with you. I just don't really. So here's the thing, and this is what we're going to see all throughout this postseason, right? The market will over account for the zigzag theory. And look, if you bet the zigzag yesterday, you hit both ways, right? Because the Pistons ended up covering despite not covering in game one. And then, of course, the Clippers ended up covering in that game as well, 1-point favorites, despite the fact that they were 2.5-point underdogs in game one as well. Although I think technically that's not a zigzag hit because the Clippers, despite the fact that they lost game one, ended up covering. But regardless, you see the market over account for this stuff. And I know that Damian Lillard's coming back, so that explains why this number's a little bit lighter for Milwaukee. But guys, what is he when he comes back? First off, from a conditioning standpoint, the calf, you have no idea how he's going to be limited. He was never a good defender to begin with, and now he is a defender that is coming back from deep vein thrombosis in his calf. How is he going to be able to hold up against a very skilled backcourt when you're talking about the likes of Tyrese Halliburton, Andrew Nembhard, Benedict Mathurin, and others? I just think it's going to be a problem. We also have seen now in a growing sample size that the Bucks don't really have an answer for Pascal Siakam now. In 5 games in the regular season or in total regular season and postseason, he has shot over 55%. He has been very efficient and effective against them. I don't think that's going anywhere. To me, it would actually be Indiana or nothing. I thought this was kind of a tough matchup for them, but I thought Giannis would be able to carry them. And I saw in that first game a team that was very outmatched, especially along the perimeter if you're Milwaukee.
I love it. Not a true zigzag because of the cover from the Clippers in game one. How about OKC? They just absolutely laid out Memphis, and I'm sure after last year, they wanted to get back to the playoffs, and boy, game one, they made a statement. The books really didn't over-adjust here with that whooping that they gave Memphis. It's 14.5 here, 229. Is game two, I'm sure it's not going to look like game one looked, but can I even entice you to take the 14.5 with the Grizzlies?
No, so we have our contest up on the website at VSiN.com, our NBA handicapping contest. I used Oklahoma City minus 14.5 in the contest. Look, this is just a mismatch in terms of everything across the board. They have multiple pieces, Oklahoma City, to throw at Ja Morant. He's not a very good half-court player. The Grizzlies' half-court offense is not great. This is a great set defense that they're facing with multiple defenders that they can throw at him and their other guys. They don't have many other shot creators outside of Ja Morant. There's Desmond Bane, but again, pick your poison when you're talking about who you can use to defend Desmond Bane. They've got the size so they can deal with them. If you're talking about Jaren Jackson Jr. and Zach Edey, they have the versatile size to deal with them, and they're very well coached, and I think they have the coaching edge here. This has been a mismatch all regular season. If you watch those games, guys, I keep invoking there was a matchup where the Thunder were on their second leg of a back-to-back, third game in 4 nights. They went to Memphis. The Grizzlies on a Saturday had 2 days of rest, and they got absolutely dog-walked in that game. This has been exactly what this matchup is, and I don't think the Grizzlies have much going for them.
Yeah, and JVT, we keep giving you your roses because you nailed it months ago when you talked about how the Timberwolves, it was not going to be indicative of the seed number next to their name. They were far better than what their record may have shown. They certainly did that beyond the arc in game one against the Lakers. We'll throw the zigzag theory out here because I think a lot of people felt that LeBron was a no-show in game one. You would think he bounced back in game two. Game two thoughts from you, but the rest of the series when it shifts to Minnesota as well.
So I think that in general, this team is up against it when you're talking about the Lakers. It's just when you talk about the physical mismatches that they're dealing with, I think it's going to be a little bit of an issue. You saw that they really don't have any true answers defensively for not even just Anthony Edwards, but Naz Reid as well. I don't think Nate McDaniels will have that kind of a performance again, but even Dante DiVincenzo coming into these games as a shot creator and shot maker, I think is going to be a problem for them. And you just wonder what they're going to do to match the math, if you will. There's a high-volume shooting team from Minnesota. Lakers don't really shoot a ton of threes. They can shoot well, but they don't shoot a ton. So you have to ramp that up to try to match what they're doing from beyond the arc. And big picture, guys, one of the big troubling aspects of that matchup was not just what the Timberwolves did on offense. Lakers shot 55% at the rim. That might sound good, but at the rim, it can't be a coin flip. You should be shooting well over 60% when you're taking shots within 4 feet of the basket, and that's not what that was. Rudy Gobert did some damage on defense and really helped clog up that paint. And I think this is going to be a matchup issue for the Lakers throughout the course of this series. And here's another big stat for you that they're going to have to adjust. The Lakers in game one, because I think a lot of people would gravitate toward, well, they can't do that again in terms of the shooting. The Lakers gave up 27 uncontested three-point shots in that first game. That means a defender is 6 feet or farther away. The Timberwolves hit 17 of those shots. Like, they are absolutely generating open looks, and if the Lakers are going to continue to play that way on defense, this is going to be a run-out for the series.
We know that, obviously, we got a dogfight potentially with Detroit and New York in the East. There's a great line in Tombstone from Val Kilmer where he says, "Oh, I forgot you were there." Have we forgotten that Orlando and Miami are even there tomorrow against the Cavs and Boston, respectively? 12.5-point favorites for the C's, 12-point favorites for Cleveland.
Yeah, I don't really see a scenario in which both teams really extend the series out for the most part. I think you give Spoelstra his flowers and give him credit as a good head coach, and maybe he can steal one of the first 5 games of that series. But, dude, the Cavs were touching paint on almost every single possession, man. They were driving, they were getting to the rim, they were kicking out for open shooters, and that's going to be a problem for Miami. Maybe they cover a matchup just because Spoelstra's a magician, but I don't think that there's really much competition there. And it's the same thing with the other series. I mean, maybe because Jaylen Brown's not fully healthy and we had to get x-rays on Jason Tatum's wrist, that the ailments just allow the Magic to stick around. They're the better defensive team, too, so they can grind this out. But they are up against it with the math battle, too. On average, guys, if you talk about 3-point makes per game, Magic walk into every game with a 17-point deficit from beyond the arc. Like, it's just a very big problem for them, and I don't think that really is going to go away anytime soon. So maybe the two teams cover a game, maybe 2, but I think these are very short series, 5 games at the most.
And we're seeing a total there under 200 for the C's and Magic. What year is this all of a sudden, the NBA? Jonathan, we appreciate it, man. We look forward to the conversation every week. Enjoy the rest of the playoffs. We'll catch up again soon.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
There he is. Check him out, VSiN PrimeTime. Of course, he and Matt Humans do a great job here in the network each and every night. They're 7 to 11 p.m. on the West Coast here. Okay, when we come back, let's get back to the NFL draft. How about the Vikings? Brandon Valesky, our producer. New quarterback. It's not Sam Darnold. Is that enough in Vikings we trust? We'll discuss that in their draft positioning. That is next here, VSiN By The Books.
You're tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We are back, VSiN By The Books on this Tuesday edition. Jensen, Lewis, Dave Ross here with you, and we're going to get to the Vikings here in a second. But, again, we've been talking about it, for a week plus now. Be careful what you see on social media when it comes to the draft, right? So you found some fake Shefty tweets out there about what the Browns are going to do at 2, right?
Yeah.
But you did see some reputable ones as well, that maybe Peter Schrager at ESPN now, his new gig there, that maybe there are some talks that starting to brew there with the Browns?
Yeah, on Get Up this morning, Peter Schrager saying that there have been calls made to both the Browns at 2 and the Giants at 3 with the intention to move up in the draft. And you and I kind of surmised this. They have to do their due diligence, right? There's no reason. If you have your guy, great. Don't let that out of the building and see how desperate some teams will be. You just never know. And so no reason why either of these teams should not be picking up the phone.
Totally agree. You have to do your due diligence. You never say, when I hear GM say, we're not going to, this guy's untradeable, we're not moving it. Like, well, listen to the offer. I mean, we get back to Nico Harrison. Like, He got an offer somehow he thought was good enough to move Luka Doncic. I don't think anybody saw that coming. So, again, you never know what the offer is going to be until you pick up that phone. So, again, Browns there at 2, Giants at 3. I do think we're getting mass chaos in 48 hours. We can't sit here and tell you exactly what that chaos is going to look like. But, again, this is why the drafts, the books hate booking them because of this uncertainty. And I think, as Matt Humans alluded to in hour number 1, could be a rough year for the bettors out there because of the uncertainty. If it's chalky, that's good for the bettor. If it's chaos, that's good for the books. And I do have a feeling we might see some chaos there. The Vikings will be drafting deep in this draft. I don't think people thought if you gave them a crystal ball a year ago and said, would they be drafting here in the top 18 for the non-playoff teams? You'd say, yeah, that's not a playoff team. Oh, they were a playoff team, and they were in the mix to be the number 1 seed until the last week of the regular season against Detroit. I mean, it's bizarre, Jensen, how quickly they could have been the overall number 1 seed in the NFC to being out in the first round. If you remember, they had to reschedule the game with the fires in L.A., so they had to move that to Arizona. And Sam Darnold picked a couple bad weeks to have some bad weeks, and now he's in Seattle, right? So we're assuming it's the beginning of the J.J. McCarthy era in Minnesota this year, and they're drafting at 24. You look at the needs here that this team has. And when you've got JJ at wide receiver, Aaron Jones says basically he's going to play forever. I wonder what are the true needs here? Corner, O-line, safety, linebacker, D-line. I think overall you get the sense it's defense first, and they feel pretty good about the offense.
Yeah, I would say a corner. It makes the most sense to them. I've seen a handful of the mocks here. Malachi Starks, a safety from Georgia, obviously in the back end there would be a target if he's there. Thinking of where some of the quarterbacks could be at that point. I talked about Jahdae Barron from Texas. O-line would be great too, but it feels defensively, Dave, that would be where they're at. But yet again, another great trade-up spot if people are trying to get back into the first round. And where's that eventual run come in the teens, and what are those skill position things like?
Let's bring in without further ado to talk more about the Purple People Eaters. Thor Nystrom joins us now here in the Progressive Guest Line. Give him a follow as I do on X. Very entertaining follow at Thor KU. Thor, great to talk Vikings with you, my friend. Let's get to it, because Jensen and I were looking at it, and again, a year ago, what a difference a year makes for the outlook of this football team. When you're sitting there right now at 24, what do you think the Vikings might be predispositioned to do there?
I think you're going to have a bucket of positions, a group of offensive line, defensive line, secondary. And if your small group of guys from those 3 positions falls to 24, I think you're going to stick and pick. Otherwise, they're bailing out of that pick. They're going to trade down. So that's the way it's going to go. I think that list probably 6 or 7 players, prospects deep, but I think that's what the equation is for the Vikings.
Thor, is it a lean more to defense for you too, just considering where that skill position set is? I mean, offense is what it is, knowing where you are from that running back room and the wide receiving core. J.J. McCarthy, when healthy, I think we understand what the potential is there. Is it more for Kevin O'Connell and company to say, let's shore up an area of need right away and then kind of see where the rest of the draft ensues?
I think the offensive line is more in play than the books are reflecting right now. The immediate starter at left guard, I think, is the favorite in the clubhouse. I do think interior defensive line, they've been studying those pretty close. That one is well in play as well. If the right guy gets there, that they like Derek Harmon, I can tell you that for sure. I do not believe that they will use their first round pick on a cornerback, because I believe Asante Samuel Jr. has been signed, sealed, and delivered. Ooh. Just handshake agreement. I think that will be announced immediately after the draft. You have to wait until the draft begins to sign Asante Samuel Jr. without losing a comp pick that the Vikings have already accrued from the qualifying free agents that have already signed to this point. They have a 3rd rounder and a 4th rounder that they have already generated 2026 draft. If you announce the Asante Samuel Jr. signing after the draft, like I said, you retain both those. Don't think corners in play. I do think safety maybe. The Malachi Starks thing, though, might be on a trade back. I think it's offensive trenches or defensive trenches.
Right now on the odds board here, Thor, it is co-favorites, if you will, at 2-1, plus $2 safety and corner. Offensive lineman plus 330, D-line and edge is plus 330, and then the big drop off to linebacker at 12-1. So I think they're thinking the way you're thinking there. All defense there, possibly a lineman if one drops it at 24. And again, they only have 4 picks in this draft in the first, third, fifth, and sixth rounds here. Any signs of the front office, Kevin O'Connell, of what could they trade out of spots, or are they like, no, we're okay with our 4 picks. We don't need to be buying more picks to get more assets this year?
They're definitely looking to trade down. I mean, if one of those guys in one of those position groups doesn't get there, they're for sure trading down. If they can get there, you have to accrue more picks. Kwesi has started to play the comp pick game, as we're talking about with Samuel and all this different stuff. That starts next year, though. This draft already got sort of shot apart with your draft equity because of the acquisition for Dallas Turner last year and then getting the first-round bullet. They had explored a possibility of moving up for a quarterback, but that's where the draft equity this year went. You're going to start to get it back next year, but one way that you can flesh out your picks is by trading down from 24. So we're just going to see who ends up falling there. But since now, you were mentioning the changes between last year and this year, you now have so few holes, right? Because they went to the rookie quarterback. They have the cheat code of that rookie quarterback contract, which opened up that war chest of salary cap space this offseason. Because of that, you have, again, very few holes. You have 3 of them or so. You're just waiting and seeing what are at those buckets at 24 before that decision.
Thor, that's excellent info. And now just kind of handicapping it too, as you see this win total and kind of the conference odds now, Minnesota was that team. Dave is a direct beneficiary or not of one of the longer numbers that was one of the great investments early with how Minnesota's regular season transpired. How do you see them running it back here? And is it more schedule dependent when that eventually gets released if we want to approach that win total?
The Vikings are the best value on the board right now for NFL futures, and I don't think that's close. 40-1 to win the Super Bowl was a ticket I had, and 18-1 to win the NFC. I think McCarthy was 100-1 to win MVP. Woo. Sam freaking Darnold almost won MVP last year. Sam Darnold, right? Now they got a Ferrari coming out of the garage for 100-1. Wet your beaks on that one. And again, the odds for this 40-1 for the Super Bowl, 18-1, those odds are not reflective of reality. The Vikings are a great value in the market right now.
So I had them last year 11-1 to win the division, had over 6.5, adjusted win total 7.5 and 8.5. It was cleaning house. And the bet was on Kevin O'Connell, not knowing at the time who they were going to draft, knew they were going to draft a quarterback last year in the top 12. And then didn't even know about Sam Darnold yet. That's the faith I had in Kevin O'Connell. What is the faith level like for him right now in that city? Is it in KOC we trust?
Yeah, it's about as high as it could get. I mean, we saw him. It's not just with Darnold last year and resurrecting his career. We saw him win football games with Josh Dobbs off the streets. Right? When he was having to explain into his helmet, right up to the second they snapped the ball. All right, bro, this is what you're doing on this play. Look at that guy first and then this guy. Just wild stuff. Kevin O'Connell's such a skilled coach. And to this point, we have not seen him with the roster this good, right? Or a quarterback that he handpicked. So, I think it's about to start to get real fun. And with that 24th pick, you start to think about it. It's like kind of like an infinity stone, right? Like I said, there's not many positions left that they need. Left guard is a glaring one. I think you're going to get your day one start at left guard at 24.
Thor, thanks for hopping on with us, man. We really appreciate it. Can't wait for the draft on Thursday. We'll catch up again soon.
Appreciate it, boys. Skull.
There he is. Thor Nystrom does a great job covering the Vikings from every which angle possible. When we come back, let's get to our best bets. They are next here on VSiN By The Books.
VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We are back. VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross, Jensen Lewis. Great having Thor Nystrom on in the last segment, talking some Purple People Eaters there. Didn't have the Heidi hat on that Kelly Bidwin used to rock here.
Yes.
The fantastic looks. We've been all over the Vikings for the last couple of years here at the network. Also great to see Steve Cohen, Hefe, as you like to say, in town here in Las Vegas. So he's here at Circa as well, getting ready for that NFL draft here in a couple of days. But we talk about information and why the books loathe booking this, because normally they're at a disadvantage. There's no game to be played. It's just about information. If you get it, sometimes you can get ahead of some of these situations. Did we see one from Kay Adams out there that's starting to make the rounds a little bit? Jensen, what are we hearing there?
Yeah, so just checking some of the updated player prop odds, like team to draft said player. We've got movement on Shedeur Sanders.
Okay.
And the Steelers, at least this is according to FanDuel's odds, the Steelers are now the favorite at plus 310 over the Giants at plus 350.
Ooh.
The Browns at plus 360 and the Saints at plus 370. You have 4 teams now, Dave, under 4-1 in the Shedeur Sanders sweepstakes.
Okay.
Just saying.
To that end, as I look right now at DraftKings, Shedeur's draft position is still sitting at 8.5, but it is juiced to $4 to the over, minus $4.
Wow.
So you're telling me, if these reports are accurate, you've got possibly multiple outs before you get to 9, which would be where the Saints are. So the under right now on Shedeur is plus 285. Again, a lot of this could be smoke that's being put out there by GMs. We're talking about how it could be chaotic when we get to Thursday night. Just be careful when you're betting on these things, especially if you're laying big numbers. I'm not laying $4 on Shedeur Sanders to say he's going 9 or higher, right? 9 through 32. So to me, that's a stay away spot. But that information, I don't think Cleveland's really back in the game for Shedeur, are they?
That would be news to me from what I've heard on the ground here. It feels like it's, Andrew Berry has been in love with Travis Hunter for weeks now. And so yet to see anything that would the only thing it would be, we see this when owners get involved.
Yes.
Here, Dave, that's the only trump card that's out there. I brought up the Baker Mayfield sweepstakes from 2018, right? Where it was Sam Darnold day of almost minus $4 to be the one. And Baker was 28-1, ends up being the number 1 pick. So yes, crazier things have happened. However, this would be one of the all-time shocks for me if it is Shedeur over Travis Hunter.
And again, I'll just throw it out there like I did earlier. If he does go later and he keeps dropping, and then Jerry's sitting there at 12, his affinity for Deion Sanders and that, just not rooting for it as a Cowboy backer, but just saying, that would be tough for Jerry to not put that envelope up there that says Shedeur on it. And then Dak Prescott's going to go, why'd you give me all that money? It's going to be absolutely fascinating. Again, if you're here in Las Vegas, get those bets in now because they're going to take them down 24 hours away. Tomorrow is the day before the NFL draft. Let's get to our best bets of the day. They're brought to us by G-Bank, the official bank of VSiN, and some leans versus in pockets. And I think for people that might be new to us and or the network, leans are just that. These are early indications, but not bets that you have in pocket yet. Tell me about that T-Wolves and that Lakers game tonight and maybe looking towards that under.
Yeah, as far as some of the betting splits right now, giving us some good information here. We've got about 20% of the bets, 48% of the money. So boatload of people on the over. That number has already come down at DraftKings, Dave, from 210 to 209.5. So again, shop around here a little bit and see what you like. So that's a lean for me. Also, that Bucks and Pacers game. I know JVT said it's Pacers or pass. If you want to take a stab at the Bucks money line, go for it. Again, that's why it's a lean for us. The over, though, 229 was something that jumped out a little bit. 48% of the bets, 75% of the handle. So nice little separation right there. No movement on DraftKings. But those were the leans for me in the association. Also also a lean, and again, we'll wait to see where the lineups are here because it's a night game at Wrigley Field. Dodgers run line there tonight, -1.5 at Wrigley Field. In pocket, though, Dave, for me, these are locked in. If you're a VSiN Pro subscriber, you've already had these. The Blue Jays, -1.5 at +$1.50. Do love where they'll be at against Ronel Blanco tonight. The Lightning also on the puck line, -1.5, +220. Nice number against Florida. We heard Paul earlier in our show talk about how the injury issues with Florida could be a detriment to them, at least in game one. So two in pocket plays for me. Blue Jays on the run line, Lightning on the puck line.
You do have some plays already in pocket for the NFL draft. And by the way, it was great having Matt Humans on in hour number one as well. Matt's plays will be out there as well for VSiN Pro subscribers. But he's really trimmed down a lot of his wagers, as he's mentioned, through the years because he does kind of have a fear of the revenge of the book, if you will, a little bit this year. And that's why you're seeing some of these numbers that are juiced to the gills. And we do not advocate laying those big numbers because if you do and one goes against you, your whole portfolio for the night could be screwed up with one thing that doesn't go the way that we think it might go. Travion Henderson's interesting because we're hearing now that maybe Ashton Jeanty could be moving up the board. If he does, I do think there's a domino effect here for Hampton. For all intents and purposes, feels like he potentially would be the second running back taken out of UNC. If that slides up that running back position, and the total, by the way, is 2.5 for the number of running backs to be taken, could we make the case that Travion Henderson could be a late first-round pick, get over that 2.5 and cash those tickets at 3?
Sure. And again, I know I've seen a few mocks in which he's a second-round pick to your Dallas Cowboys. And boy, what another Ohio State Buckeye tradition to start there after what Ezekiel Elliott did in his career. But you're right. We have seen plenty of times where those last, 5-6 picks, teams jump back in to try and take one of those guys. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, an example, too, of the Kansas City Chiefs just a handful of seasons ago. So to me, it's just, again, when does that run happen on certain positions? I think you and I are very intrigued with that wide receiver run, right? Because we've seen Ted McMillan, the odds just absolutely vault or shrink, if you will, into that number 5 spot, which Jacksonville feels like the wild card of the moment. And now all of a sudden a little smoke around the Patriots potentially not doing a signed, sealed, delivered on Will Campbell. So I'm still with chaos with you, man. After 2,
it feels like it.
The Giants still feel like, to me, if I'm Joe Shane, you messed it up last year. You can't let Abdul Carter go if he's there at 3. Who knows, man? Hands in the air, though. I'm in for the wild ride alongside you, buddy.
I love your Marion Hampton under 19.5 at plus money, plus $1.45. You've got that ticket already in pocket. I think that's a really solid play. I do think he could be live for the Cowboys at 12. I think he could be live for the Bears at 10. Again, this is if Jeanty goes as we expect him to go, and the numbers indicated before you get to number 10. Because I don't think he gets past the Bears at 10, and maybe that mini run starts to happen there at running back. Tyler Warren, you've got him under 9.5 at plus $1.85. Are you looking to the Jets as the possible landing spot to get that ticket home?
I would either Jets or, as John Daigle from covering the Panthers told us, perhaps that exact right there for Carolina at 8, right? We've heard a lot of speculation that, and I thought his info was great, that that might be the sneaky spot there. So that would get home. I think, what did he say? At the time we talked to him, last week it was 16-1 was that exact pick there. So that would be a play. Couple of bites at the apple for sure.
Yeah, I like it. And again, I think Brock Bowers going 13 after all the quarterbacks went last year. You can make a case. Certainly, I know Jaden Daniels is spectacular. But as far as rookie goes and the impact that Brock Bowers had, that's going to help out guys like Tyler Warren if they look at them in somewhat of a same ilk, that maybe they could turn those offenses around. G-Bank is up in the ante right now, up to a $750 bonus for new G-Bank Visa Signature Card customers. New customers who spend $1,000 on eligible purchases within 90 days from opening up that account, they're going to get a $250 bonus. In addition, if you spend $50,000 on gaming and sports app loads within those 30 days of opening up the account, you're going to get another $500 bonus. That's potentially $750 right then and there. Apply now, VSiN.com/GBank. That's VSIN.com/GBank. Subject to credit approval, terms and conditions do apply. All right, my friend, we're getting there. Only 2 more days to go before we get to that NFL draft. I do wonder, baseball, not that it ever takes a backseat to us, but we're talking NBA playoffs and NHL and the draft. It's almost like, oh, yeah, Major League Baseball is still going on, Jensen. They forget about him for a couple days.
That's all right. I literally checked on Thursday to see what was the evening slate like, and it is a very abbreviated slate period. You've got a game between Baltimore and Washington at 6:45, and then a couple of West Coast games. I will have multiple screens ready to go, but that big screen in the theater room, day 1 of the draft, baby. Let's go. We're almost there.
And again, UFC Kansas City, we'll talk about that at the end of the week as well. Sneaky good card there. Don't go anywhere. Gil Alexander is up next here with a numbers game.